radio station focused on reminding you how powerful you are. Our hosts share on self-healing, politics, UFOs, spiritual awakening, and everything in between. Join us in the chat room at awakenradio.net or listen on your mobile device through tunein.com.
You're now tuned in to your source connection to higher self-worth and greater prosperity with yours truly, your host, Ingrid Geronimo, on awakenradio.net. Join us here every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 7 p.m. Central and share the wisdom by inviting your Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn friends to join you here. Ooh-wee! I'm putting my hands together and clapping and rubbing them because 2013 is here. I am so excited. I don't care what else is going on in the rest of the world. And I don't mean I don't care like in a heartless, senseless kind of way. I mean I have my vision intact. I know what I'm here to do. It is becoming ever so much more clear to me that I have the mission that I have. It's not better than anyone else's. It's not less than anyone else's. But it is exactly what it is. And it is so important to me. I realize now, because I've been sitting with myself, sitting with my understandings and the insights that have been coming through from Divine Source, I have been really checking in with myself about what this year can wind up being for me. And one of the things that I've come to realize really, really powerfully is that what we say really does come into our reality. And this year, the most important thing that you can start out doing this year is really checking in with yourself about what you're putting out there with your words, your emotions, your actions and reactions, and really creating from a conscious standpoint. So tonight, I want to share with you some understandings about money and worth, because I have been working with myself. You see, I am my greatest experiment. The things that I share with you are things that I've actually experimented with myself on. As I get insights, I check into them with myself. I don't just get, like this information from wherever it comes, my higher self, my soul, whatever name we want to give it, God, whatever name we want to give it. I don't just get that information and then say, wow, that's great wisdom. I get the information, I get the wisdom, and then I say, okay, Ingrid, how can I apply it? How do I apply this in my current world, in my current reality, in the way that things currently look for me? And then as I get the insights, I either create PowerPoint presentation slides, which you're going to be seeing a lot more training coming from me in that regard this year, or I sit with it and I write. And if you've been listening to me at all in the past couple of weeks, you'll remember that I'm now writing with my left hand. I am forcing myself to become what I was before. I am forcing myself to go back to that remembrance. And I had admonished and suggested, highly and strongly suggested, that you take that on too, that you start breaking out of some of the societal patterns that you've been programmed into, so that you can get to see, truly see, who you really are. Gosh, I got to tell you, I have been having conversations in this past week with different people, and I'm just amazed at the things that we have been programmed to believe about ourselves, and the things that we've been programmed away from believing about ourselves, about how powerful we are, about how glorious and magnificent we were created, that our Creator did not make any mistakes with any one of us, not even those that we think are bad or that we think are doing bad things in the world, even them. And one of the biggest insights I got has been the knowing and remembering that I am every that currently exists, including you and you and you. And you see, this is not about vanity. It's not about me thinking I'm everyone else. It's about me also remembering everyone else. Everyone else. I am them. They are me. We are. We are. We are. And so as I was sitting with all of that, I started doing this little exercise for myself, and some insights started coming through about worth and money and how it is that our money is currently and has been tied up into our worth in such a way that the economy is the way that it is, but we are not seeing the turnabout that we want to see with it. And it really does, once again, have to do with our worth. So what I came up with, or what came to me, was doing this little exercise and this practice. And it's pretty much a practice of mindfulness, because when you're mindful about yourself and your environment and how you're acting and interacting with that environment, then you do start getting insights. And you start seeing very clearly and vividly what you can choose. Notice I said choose. What you can choose to change. Because I am of the mind now that absolutely no one on the face of this planet needs to be fixed. Now, I can tell you when I was younger, I thought that. I thought that was my mission. I thought my mission was to be here to help fix people, including me. I didn't leave myself out of it. I knew I needed to be fixed too, but that was part of it. And that is so disempowering when you think about it. It's disempowering, and it's a journey. It takes a journey to come to the point where you realize that there's really nothing to be fixed. People are where they are. They're experiencing their journey just as they are experiencing it. There's nothing to fix about that journey even. All you can do is have observations about their journey. And as you're having those observations about their journey, it would be ideal if you could have observations about yourself, even within those observations that you're making. And a perfect example of that is that when I'm speaking with someone else, I'm very clear and conscious of whether I'm making judgments, which means I'm discerning, I'm figuring out whether this is good or not for me, or whether I'm being judgmental and making them wrong for who they're being and what they're experiencing. I have my opinions. I do. But having an opinion doesn't mean that you have to set out to hurt anyone. It's just part of the observation process, really. If you think about it and look at it, you'll see that. And as you're having all those wonderful observations and you're checking your environment, what starts to happen is things start becoming vividly and boldly clear to you. You start to second guess, you stop second guessing and doubting yourself as much. You start seeing the cues from the universe just in the way that people come into your experience, statements that are made on Facebook here and there, confirmations that you get in that way. Sometimes the universe serves to confirm things for you so much, but we miss it. Because if we are busy being distracted by, for example, the television, and one of the commitments I've made to myself this year is I'm not watching TV. Not asking anyone else to do it, but I have seen the difference it makes already in my life. I started as of the first, no watching TV. And what I see is that when I'm sitting in my house and the TV's not on, the TV's sitting right in front of me. But I start seeing and looking around my whole house, my living room, which now has, currently since I'm in a flux situation, I'm getting ready to move soon, has, containers with books already stacked in them that are prepared to move and stuff like that. But I start seeing what else needs to be done and how much time do I have left to do it. And am I procrastinating? And am I self-sabotaging? It all becomes ever so clear. And one of the things I started to realize was how many people actually try to escape that. They try to escape it via meditation, really going out as often as they can, many times a day and all of that. Well, that's not being here. And being here means you allow yourself to experience whatever presents itself in front of you, and you take from that experience what you will. You do with it what you will, and you move on, because it's all about the experiences, right? It's like we're story collectors. We collect stories along the way, not only our own stories, but each other's stories. We're great story collectors when we talk to each other, and we need that. That's part of what connects us and keeps us together as communities. What takes away from that is when we start judging each other about it. When we start making judgments and calling each other bad, or calling each other good or bad mothers or fathers, good or bad brothers or sisters, good or bad, whatever, friends. We don't even have to do that. We can judge whether something is good for us, whether an individual is good to keep in our life or not, but we don't have to call them bad for what they're being or experiencing. Because then we take away from our own journey by doing that. Because by the same judgment that you judge others, you really are judging yourself. As I've said before, it's not about religion with me, but some of the things that were written in some of those great texts are really true. They hold such gold. One of the pieces of gold for me has always been, to treat others as I would like to be treated. That is the golden rule, and it's such a great rule. If you treat everything that way, then you really have no reason to have regrets or to feel less than in any situation that you may traverse throughout the course of your journey here. So, money and worth. And then I'm going to open up the line afterward. And I don't normally get callers, but if you'd like to call in and talk to me about your money situation, I'm not Susie Orman, but here's what I know that may be in addition to what Susie Orman knows, or that may help you, maybe the foundation to what Susie Orman knows. What I know is that in our society, we have done something with money that we have not done with anything else in the way that we have with money. We chase after it. We pursue it vehemently. We think about it a lot throughout the course of our days and nights. And what's funny is that in that whole entire process of doing that, we may be the actual thing that's keeping it away from us. That was the insight I got just in the past couple of weeks. Now, I've had that insight before, but I'm going to give you some more information in a little bit about that insight, because it went deeper this time. And the thing is that if you think about anything that you're chasing, right? Like, let's just stop for a moment and think about, if you're chasing after, let's use relationships. If a guy's chasing after a girl, what does she typically do? She avoids, right? There's this little game that's played. Now, of course, we're talking about two conscious beings that have thought and that kind of a thing. But remember, we want to keep in mind that everything is energy. And if everything is energy and we're energy, then there are some similarities there that we just really should not set aside. And so with the energy of money, if we're chasing it, if it were a girlfriend, right? If we gave that money a personality and it were a girlfriend, what would we have to do with it? Well, we'd have to figure out, first of all, what does that money need from us? Or how can we get into that same environment or way of being, so much so that we would be in alignment and ready for a relationship with it? And so one of the things that I've come to realize is that in order to be in a relationship with money, then you have to start thinking about it and why it is that you're chasing it, and why it is that you want it, and what it is that you really want it to do. If it's a relationship, then you figure, for example, if I were chasing after a guy, I'd want companionship. I'd want him to, be there for me when I needed him. I would want him to give me some solace, some comfort when I need it. I would want him to let me know that he's there to support me when I need the support financially, mentally, emotionally. I mean, when you think about it, wow, I understand sometimes when guys say, oh my gosh, it's so much. Because it seems like a lot when you start listing it out. But they naturally do it. They don't even realize it. If they really, really are into you and love you, or get into you and love you, then they will be there for you in all those ways without them even realizing that they're doing it. So how do we get our money relationship to be like that for us? How do we get it to actually be there to support us when we want it, to give us the comfort that we need, in relation to the amount that we might want? And I got to tell you that it's not about chasing the actual money itself. It is about figuring out the energy of money that you want to create within your experience, and that money will start flowing to you. Now, there's another piece to it. We live in a society where our self-worth has been so beaten. It has been beaten to the point that we believe we're not worth it. So there's legwork that has to be done in that regard first. You have to start getting to the place where money is something that is not even something you need to chase. It just comes to you, it just flows to you. And I want to make sure that I don't leave you like in other programs or other things you might have heard about money that say those kinds of things, but then don't really explain it to the point where you can really get it. So I'm really, really trying to help you to get this. And that's why I ask for callers, because sometimes when I speak with someone about their situation, I can make it much clearer. And then everyone else who's listening then will be able to hear it for themselves and may get that spark, that moment that lights them up and says, whoa, I got it now. I got it for me, what it is. So I'm going to share with you about my money stories and my life. And I've shared before about being in corporate America and making six figures and being really happy. I started out as a secretary back in the 80s and honestly never thought I would be able to ever make that kind of money because I didn't have a college degree. And I did some work on myself, seminars and different things that I took. I immersed myself in them and books and all kinds of things. And when I did all that work, I was working with the dismantling of beliefs. Because even as I was little, when I started realizing that we created beliefs that supported certain things in certain ways, and one of the main ones, of course, for me, that would be for everyone, is the Santa belief. Now, I'm not going to go into it because there may be children who are hearing it, but just the belief about Santa. We all know what it is. And when that was dismantled for me, and I understood really what was going on, and how it all worked, I realized, wow, we create lots of stories. And some of those stories really feed us for a time and make us feel really good. And then sometimes they tear us down and they make us feel really bad. And some of the stories that we have in place, not regarding Santa, that was just an example of a story. Some of the things that we have in place that tear away at our self-worth and our self-esteem, number one is the comparison game, right? We compare ourselves to each other. We've been trained and programmed to compare ourselves to each other. The minute that boob tube, the TV was put in front of us years back, and the programming started coming through, we didn't realize that it really was truly programming. When I posted yesterday or the day before that I was not watching TV this year, and I had some responses on Facebook regarding how there are people who have not been watching TV for years. They just let go of it. And they didn't miss it. They knew that if they needed to hear something important, it would come through, either through the internet. I mean, because, the internet, of course, wasn't around for some of them if they started way back when. But even after the internet came around, what I like about the internet itself is that you have choice in the matter. When you're watching any program, there are commercials, and yes, you can mute the commercials out. But there's still that sense, even in each one of those shows that you watch, of what they're trying to get us to believe about ourselves in society. That even if we're scientists, like for example, I loved The Big Bang Theory. and we'll miss watching it. But one of the reasons why I decided to go ahead and do that and know that I was going to miss that particular show was because I saw even in that scientists, they're portraying them as idiots, as bumbling idiots when it comes to social affairs and all of that. They're portraying them in a way that doesn't really behoove who they are. And it's okay, they're awkward, but why make fun of that? And so that's just me. I'm not telling anyone else to do this, honestly. But what it did do was it helped me to see, wow, there's even programming in that. And these things that I watch for joy and for fun and for laughter, and that I know I can mute out the commercials for, even in that, there are subtle programs that are being relayed over and over again. And especially if you watch it repetitively like I was doing last year, I would watch the reruns and knew exactly what they were going to say and would continue to watch it because I thought it was funny as heck. And then I don't know what happened. I have these moments where I feel like I've been activated by a higher power or something. Because all of a sudden, something will just snap within me, and I'll see something that I had not been seeing before. And then I had said before, I hear voices. I've heard voices of guidance all my life. And then the voices, or a voice will say, did you catch that? Did you see that? Did you catch that? Over and over. Or something like that. And I'll stop, and it makes me stop and think for a moment. It makes me stop and really look at it and say, oh my gosh, I see it. I get it. Wow. It is programming. And so, money and self-worth. If they don't attack your worth and get you to believe that you are less than, that you're not as bright as, that without a college degree you can't do more than, that if you aren't this way, being in this culture, experiencing these things, then you aren't good enough. All of those subtle messages keep on tearing away at our true worth. So yes, I turned the TV off and have committed to myself that I will not watch TV because I don't need to. I'm at a point in my life right now where I really want to experience life. I want to go out there and meet people. I do. I want to meet new people. I think about it. I think if the TV, okay, and I know there's lots of arguments for, but I just want you to dance with this for a second. Just dance with it for a second, or a couple of seconds. If the TV were never created, if we did not have that particular distraction, that way of being distracted, not only from society, but from ourselves even, from being with our own thoughts, from feeling our experience fully, what would that be like? What would be the possibilities in all of that? So I've been thinking about that, and one of the projects that I'm working on, or that I just started, which is, I know, I'm talking about it on air, so everybody might be saying to themselves, but she's promoting it on air right now. The reason I'm talking about it is because it is a community of humanity that I'm talking about. I want everyone in their area to go and do this. Just go and start meeting your neighbors. Knock on their door. I am sure that one of the first reactions might be, even for me, especially me, being of color, being Hispanic, whatever, and that the fact that there still are those who don't understand that, are frightened by that. So me knocking on their door, they might actually have the reaction of, oh my God, it's a stranger, I can't open the door, I'm not going to open the door, I'm going to make believe I'm not here. And that's okay, because one of the other things I'm planning on doing is leaving an invitation so that every Monday night I'm going to sit in Panera's for a couple of hours or an hour and wait for people to show up. If they never show up, so what? It was an hour that I probably would have been spending at home watching TV, doing absolutely nothing that I felt was fruitful for me at this point in my life as far as what I want to leave behind. So that's one thing, one possibility. The other possibility that we can all entertain and think about is that connecting with each other and then dropping those comparisons and just really being with people with just who they are will allow us to see how great it is to have that variety of people in our world right now. Everything serves a purpose. Everything serves a purpose. And the other thing that I am hoping that will bring about is the understanding that we are all one. That we are exactly the same. That the only difference is appearance. But as far as everything else, we are a spirit in a body. The body is the vehicle that carries us. And it carries us in a way that supports what we have created as our reality. And that our reality is created based on our filters. Our filters are called beliefs. And those beliefs can truly be changed. Donna and I were talking the other night, and we were talking about some of the things that are happening in the political arena. And she talked, and I listened, because she has a lot of information regarding all of that. And I listened intently. And then at one point, I realized what time it was, and I said to her, well, in the whole scheme of everything, I want to be Neo from the movie The Matrix. And the reason I want to be Neo was because at the end, what he said, Donna said, that's my job. What he said was, I want to show these people what you're holding from them. Something like that. I can't remember the exact statement. And I can tell you that beliefs mean so much. They mean so much. My gosh. So not believing in yourself, let's start with that one because we're talking about worth and money. Not believing in yourself is tearing away at your self-worth. Tearing away at your self-worth keeps you away from your money. The reason it keeps you away from your money, and this is really key before we go on break for me to say this so that you can call in about it. The reason it tears away or keeps you away from your money is because your money is very much associated with the gifts and talents. First of all, the gifts that you brought in with you, and then the talents that you've built up over time while you're here. Our lives and what we've gone through in our lives inform what we are being prepared to do in the world to help others and to serve others. So, I have a troubled child who is currently, locked up because of drugs. I was involved with the system. There were support staff people who came out to me. And it's really funny because I'm going to show you something that, some people might say, oh, well, that's just, coincidence. It's really not. So I said, I'm going to meet 100 families between now and the summer. And I'm currently working at 3 centers in New Jersey. I'm no longer working in corporate America. And so, yeah, money is tight sometimes. And it can get pretty darn scary sometimes, but I'm not afraid anymore because I know. And there's this deep knowing that you will come to when you have worked on your self-worth with yourself that I'm telling you, nothing can tear away at once you've gotten there. So we have about 2 minutes before the break, and here's what I want to say to you about that worth. When you start chasing after and pursuing what you're here to do, the money will start flowing in like you would not believe. When you start pursuing it, just start doing it. Don't worry about pomp, what is that? I forget what the saying is, pomp and circumstance or something like that. Don't worry about that, pomp and circumstance. Don't worry about all that. Just start. Start with whatever you can, however you can. If it's just having meetings with other people in your home about something that you want to teach them regarding some wisdom that you have, or if it's a modality that you've learned, an energy healing that you know you have, even without having learned. Just think about that as we go on break. And if you want to call in after the break, this is Ingrid Geronimo from IngridGeronimo.com, and I will be more than happy to take the call.
Awakened Radio Network is the information station for awakened people who live awake, aware, alert, and create consciously. Join us in the live chat room at awakenedradio.net/live chat room. Take part in our creation through our forums, chat, and calling in on our live shows. Check out our services tab at awakenedradio.net. Right up under the banner, click where it says services. You can find out how to host your own show on our network. You can also find out about delivering your empowerment message to our global listeners. There's also information there on how to advertise on the Awakened Radio Network. Are you ready to host your show with the Awakened Radio Network? Our station is dedicated to helping you share your message with our global audience. Visit awakenedradio.net, look under Service tab at the top of the page for more information, and you can also add Awakened Radio to your Skype contact and talk with Donna Devane about being an Awakened Radio host. Thank you for your love and support of the Awakened Radio Network. Your donations and purchases from our Awakened store help us to stay on the air and grow as we reach the globe with the message of personal empowerment. Visit us today at awakenedradio.net to be part of this creation of awesomeness.
You're now tuned in to your source connection to higher self-worth and greater prosperity with yours truly, your host, Ingrid Geronimo, on awakeneradio.net. Join us here every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 7 p.m. Central, and share the wisdom by inviting your Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn friends to join you here. Welcome back everyone. I want to thank you for tuning in. Brandon, my friend in the chat room, said that this was exactly what his family needs to hear, and he's thanking us for the invitation to come and listen in. And I thank you, Brandon, for taking the time out of your schedule, you and your family, I love your family, to come and listen in. And here's the thing, this is the insight that I've been receiving, and I know I'm not the only one receiving, because when I talk to other people and see some of the Facebook posts that are coming through on my news feed, I see there's a theme, there's a core, there's a message. And that's how a message usually works. It's not just something that comes through only me. It's not about that. It's about there's a big message that needs to be heard, and there's several people delivering it. Maybe in different ways, but they are delivering that same message. And so in this particular world that we currently live in, and here specifically in the good old US of A, one of the things that we've been taught is that we are less than. We are less than the elite of society. You know, they talk about caste systems in other cultures. Well, guess what? I've seen a caste system here. And I've seen people who 100%, including me at one point, who 100% buy into it and think that there's no other alternative to them, just like I used to think when I was a secretary, that there was nothing else I could ever be but a secretary because I did not have a college degree. But where did that program come from? Where did that programming come from? Did someone, when I was a little baby girl, tell me, or did I come in from a previous life? I mean, like, where did that come from? Where it came from was the higher elite, the higher echelon of society, that told us that if we didn't have a college degree, we wouldn't amount to much. We wouldn't wind up anywhere good. And I proved them wrong. Because I got my college degree that I have right now in communications, my AS degree. I got it from the University of Phoenix at the age of 50. I'm 5 years old. I got it 5 years ago. And prior to that, I had already achieved a six-figure income in corporate America. And had I continued to believe the thoughts that were associated with that program and implanted belief, I would have never gotten there. I would not have made it, because I wouldn't have believed in myself. You see, it's all about believing in yourself. That first job that I got that broke me out of that income bracket that I was in was software trainer. And what did I do? I went to a seminar and I realized my potential. And in realizing my potential and what I had already done, I created a resume that highlighted what I had already done in that arena, how I had taught other secretaries how to use a software program that nobody wanted to learn, even though the company purchased them. And so I was able to move myself out of that. And I see that we have a caller, and so thank you so much for calling in. Welcome.
Hi, Ingrid. It's Shanae.
Hi, Shanae. How are you?
I am well. I'm so glad. I was like, is this the number to call in?
Yes, this is the number to call in. I'm so glad you called in. How can I help you to understand these concepts better? Tell me, what's going on with you? What would you like to share?
Oh, wow. I just tuned in after 8, and I wasn't sure I was listening to the right show. So after a while, I listened, and I found that I was, and it was indeed you. And it was so funny to hear your topic, which is financial abundance, because just before I left home, I was thinking in my head about how I need to get my finances in order. You have, this money, and, for me, I'm just getting back up on my feet after being out of work with no unemployment or anything for 5 months. So now I'm in that process of how do I get back on my feet? And, you owe this and owe that, and you're like, who gets what first? And, also paying yourself and investing in your purpose, because I believe in that. And it's funny, so I was having that conversation with myself in my head, not knowing what your topic was going to be. And just before the radio show, around like about 6 or 7, I'm talking to one of my friends, and we're talking about financial empowerment, and we're supposed to attend. It's funny you mentioned Sue Gorman, because she's going to be at King next week, I think.
Yeah,
so anyway,
I saw that too.
Yeah, that's my story. So I just
So let me help you. Let me help you with something first, okay? Because we all find ourselves in that position. I have been there and still am there, tight, but I have been where there was a minus in my bank account. I didn't have any money there, and something was needed. And what I did was I looked at what is the most important thing I need to do right now.
Okay.
And the thing that comes up specifically regarding this is this. I have a great belief in my creator and in my creative ability and what has been shown to me as far as this divine guidance network that we all live in, because the whole universe is a divine guidance network. So when a bill comes and I don't have any money in the bank, for example, and I am at the point now where, and this is the trust lesson that we are all going through, okay?
Trust,
when the bill comes
right?
Through, trust, big time. When the bill
Absolutely.
comes through, I look at it and I say, okay, I need this much. Hey, just out loud to myself or in my head, I say, okay, well, I know you've got me. I know that the universe has got me. I know that whatever I need, somehow, this will be taken care of, because this is my light bill we're talking about here, and I need this to be able to continue to do whatever I'm doing. So when I do that, what I've realized in the past year, when I've engaged in that, I am not kidding you. And because I have started to acknowledge my given gifts, the Creator created me with these gifts of being able to hear voices and feeling people's feelings and being able to help them with all that. See, it's a gift that we were given to be able to navigate this life and to be able to help others. It's not, anything terrible or anything like that. But when I started acknowledging that, hey, I do tarot readings, it's a form of me being able to have some confirmation for what's already coming through for me. That's how I use it. I do intuitive readings because I get information. When I was trying to do it when I was younger, it would just jam things up for me when I would try to remember the actual meaning from the book, because I was getting information, and instead of just saying what was coming to me and having the confirmation from the card, I was struggling with it. But when I started really accepting my gifts, the things that I know that I have that I can help other people with, because I've been doing it all my life but keeping it hush-hush, that I heard those voices and getting guidance. So when I started acknowledging it openly, right? Because it's that acknowledgement of the Creator and the gifts He's given you, right? It's that not being, in the world of spirituality, in the world of religion, it's all about that not denying God, right? And so when I look at it, I say, okay, how am I denying God? If I deny myself, my worth, then I am denying the great Creator. If I deny any of the gifts that I came in with, that He gave me, He, she, it, that great source gave me, then I am denying that Creator again. So all of these blows on our self-worth, for me, I see them as a great blow on the great Creator that created all of this that I am. This experience that I'm in here. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense anymore to even deny any of those things. I've told people, come out of the spiritual closet. Tell people if you hear voices and they've been guiding you all along, all the way.
I love you. Like, I'm not the only one.
No.
Because you tell some people some of the things you see and hear. Like, for me, God speaks to me through numbers and sometimes signs, but, I just hear a different message beyond what is actually there. And, people, they just don't receive it, and they're like, oh, okay, But I'm like, this has to be real, because sometimes the message is persistent. And I'm like, it can't be a chemical, crazy imbalance. It has to be the spiritual realm speaking, and I do recognize that.
And we're spirit beings. We're spirit beings. So what we do when we do that is we disconnect from that. And then that's why, okay, you ready? Because here comes the big part. That's why we struggle the way we do, and why we continuously look to improve and increase our spirituality. What is there to improve and increase that we already are? We already are that.
Right,
it's about
We're just recalling it.
Yes, it's about embracing.
We're just recalling what we already know.
Yes, recalling it, re-knowing it, but really being in the knowing of it. So when I look at that bill and see that amount, I really am, absolutely no doubt, I really am knowing it really is going to come. And here's what has happened. What has happened, let's say it's a light bill. Excuse me. Let's say it's a light bill. Okay. And it comes in for $97, for example. I am not kidding you. When I say that and just stay in that confidence, knowing that really it will be taken care of, that either that same day or the very next day, I will get 2 or 3 people either on Facebook or who will call me or at a local center that want to get a reading for $30, let's say, or 3 or 4, and it'll meet the amount for that bill. Now, I've gotten past that to the point where, I'm getting coaching clients. Coaching is a business that's on and off. If anybody is true as a coach, they will be honest and say, yeah, I've had my downtimes, and I have had coaches who I've met on a one-on-one basis after a networking event, who when I ask them, how are you doing? How are you honest? Just be honest with me. How are you doing in your business? And they will say, well, you know what? I have no clients right now. Or I have 2 clients and I really need to get 2 more. But it's being real with yourself too. Because then if you can do that, then you can say, okay, so coaching is this stream of income for me. What other thing can I do to bring in another stream of income for myself? And for me, it's being able to do intuitive readings for people. I do not use the cards as much anymore, because the information just starts coming through, and I just sit down with them and say, listen, this is what I'm getting, and if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, toss it or hang on to it, because maybe down the line it'll make sense. But this is the information that's coming through to me right now about you. And it's wonderful. We can do that for each other, because every single one of us, I'm not special.
No, it makes perfect sense, Ingrid, because even what you're saying, but I don't know, it's like I feel like I'm at this threshold place where I can see my gifts, and for a long time my friends used to say you don't see yourself, but now I'm starting to see myself. But it's just a matter of that crossing over. Like, okay, do it. Like, I started making earrings. Well, I had the beads and the tools for years. Like, I took the class and sat on them for years. And it's like I even bring them to work with me. I'm a nurse right now, and I'm in home care, so I have the time to I could do like 3 pairs of earrings a night. but I don't do it. And I know I'm good at it, and I know I could do it. And I know, like, people, when I posted the pictures on Facebook, they're like, oh, like, you know, I want one, and I never made any. And it's like, you have this wealth, but you're just not acting on it. You know, like God said, here you go, here's your gift, and
then you deny it, right, to yourself.
This is helping me. Thank you.
So remember that denying it to yourself is denying that great creator, right?
Right.
And the thing about it is, like,
I'm
look at
throwing away his gift.
Yes. And oh my God, you said it perfectly. So look at me. I mean, I've looked for avenues. I mean, my readings are in the Awakened Radio store, you know, my intuitive readings. So people can come to the Awakened Radio store, and there I am. You know, it's not just only my website or someplace. It's right there. So you can find ways and outlets, just like you found Facebook. You can find outlets for your gifts and your talents and your creativity that will enable you to meet the demands of this world financially. And what starts to happen is you start being able to be in that flow. Now, another part of it that's really, really important is this. When you are, and I want to make sure that people get this before the show ends, when you are sitting with yourself, right, when you turn off that TV and you really allow yourself to be with yourself, and a lot of people, I'm not kidding, have been trained to be terrified of sitting with themselves. I had a Goddess in the Mirror.
I love it. That's my favorite, one of my favorite things to do, to sit in silence. Like,
that's good, because that's not a lot of people. A couple of years ago, I had a Goddess in the Mirror retreat at a local retreat center here, and I had some women come in, and I had a few of them who could not face themselves in the mirror. We were doing mirror work, and they were in tears, some of them, because they just couldn't face themselves and do the exercises that I was asking them to do. It was just too much to ask of them, because they had all that programming in their head about their self-worth, you know, about how ugly they were, how tall, how short, how fat, how, you know, whatever. And I would say, stop that. You know, get away from all of that right now. Look in that mirror and see the Creator, because you were created in the image and likeness. You are the image and likeness of that Creator that we all know. You know, everybody has different names for it, but it still is. There's a Creator, right? And so the thing that I want you to see is this. When you sit with yourself, and you do it, thank goodness, but if you're sitting with yourself and you feel any tension in your body, women, some women, not all, live in the Kegel state, meaning that area, the root area of our body, is always in flex, always constrained, right? And not all women, some women. And the reason that happens is because of, you know, various things. It could be that, you know, they were told that area is special and you shouldn't let anybody and always protect it. And so, you know, that programming kind of seeped in, and the next thing you know, you're clenching and you're holding that in. Or it could be, you know, that the way that we found out about our menstrual was so frightening that from that point forward, we were always clenching, right? And we're told to do it when we have babies as women, because it returns those muscles to what they are supposed to be. But some of us continue to live in that Kegel state, and there is a whole thing that I can go into about this, but it would take too long. But the thing I want to get you to understand is that all of that is because we have been trained and allowing ourselves to not be fully ourselves, to not accept ourselves just exactly as we are, to not accept everything and anything about us. And that cuts off your flow. Any constriction within our body is a creation of the cutting off of our flow. So when you start releasing and relaxing, and I'm going to tell you, I've been working since September of last year with that exact area of my body, because the root chakra is the security area of the body, and it also security deals with your finances. So again,
now, which area you said, is this your womb area you're speaking of?
Yeah, your womb area. Yes, your womb area.
Okay. Yes. And I once learned that they say like fibroid tumors, like those are like actually the garbage bags, like emotional garbage bags, or garbage bags where we've held like different purposes and gifts we've had, and we've just, you know,
haven't let
you know, basically bottled them up, you know, inside, and it's like they begin to fester and turn into disease, and, you know, we need to release that. So, again, like I said, it's like this threshold place, like, you know better, so do better, you know what I mean?
Right. And what happens is when you start releasing, literally all those things start going away because the illnesses and the diseases that we have in our body are exactly that. You know, you've heard this before, and I'm going to say it again. It's just basically you're not at ease with being who you are, who you were meant to be, who you really are, period. I think you saw the Facebook post with the woman who said that freedom is giving yourself permission to be exactly who you are, or being exactly who you are without anyone's permission. I thought that was perfect. Oh my God, I'm going to use that in some workshops because that is perfect. You know, to be able to just be yourself without anyone's permission, because that was the thing. When we were growing up, right, we were told that you have to be this way. If you're this culture and this race and this face and this whatever, you have to be this way, right? And you have to do these things. And you have to act this way. I mean, when I was growing up, I said this once before, how in the Hispanic household, the little girl is the one who when there's company, brings the tray of the little demi-tasse cups with coffee in it, with espresso in it. And everyone has to take a cup off of the tray. And if the last cup is left on the tray, then that means, supposedly, this is a superstition, that she'll never get married. So there was this this trepidation when I would see that the last cup was on the tray, because, oh my God, it means I'm never going to get married. Oh my God. And my mother would force someone from company to take that last cup.
Wow.
Of course, years later when I got divorced, I said, doggone it, that last cup, they should have just left it on that tray.
Right.
But has this helped you to see, like, you know, how...
it absolutely helped me, and it almost makes me not even want to go to Sue Zorman next week, because it's like I kind of like there's another message that I'm getting is stepping outside of systems and traditions. Like,
yes,
I've never fit in boxes. I've never been comfortable in groups, and and all. Like, I'm okay with spending time alone by myself, and like I tend to view things out the box, and it's like I'm at that point where I'm ready to free myself, because those things where I try to do it, say, someone else's way or someone else's prescription, it just doesn't work for my spirit. And it's like just this feeling, like this tension, you know what I mean? And it's like you kind of get tired of that. Like, okay, you know what? Let me just do what my spirit is moving me to do, because anything else is stressing me out right now, you know?
And that is the message. You just clearly stated the message of 2013. If it feels tense, if it makes you unhappy, turn and ask yourself, why is this making me tense? What about it is making me tense? And I've done this. I literally have. I've sat here and I've looked around, and I've had like this tension in my body, either when I'm talking to somebody or listening to somebody, and I'll ask myself, why am I getting tense? What about this conversation, this interaction, this thought process, this situation that I'm in? What about it is causing me this tension? What is it? And then when I look at it, I say, oh my gosh, okay, because I feel like I'm not being heard, because I feel like I'm not being believed, because I feel like, and it always, honestly, it comes back to us. Some people say, well, that's really narcissistic and vain of you. No, our journey is ours. So we have to consider ourselves. What we've been taught to do is to not consider ourselves so much, and to consider the machine and how we work in it and how we pay our taxes in it and all of those other kinds of things. We've not been told that it's okay to truly be expressed, because then in that expression might come a lot of people out of control, what they deem as a lot of people out of control. But what we've not been allowed is just the possibility of really expressing and experiencing from our own viewpoint, from, hey, I'm here today now, I'm at a friend's house, I'm doing this radio show, my friend came to visit a friend because she wasn't feeling well, and I decided I'll take everything with me and I'll go and do the show there, right? If I had gone by convention, normal convention, it would have been, oh honey, I'm sorry, I have to do a radio show, I can't be there because, I'm supposed to do this and this is the right thing to do because I've committed to doing this radio show. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I could have done all that. And what I did was I said, I'm flexible, I'm me, I'm free, I can do whatever I want, I'm going. And I'm taking this with me.
You make your own.
And I have two backups. I have my laptop, which I'm using right now, and I have the phone if something went wrong. So do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that ability to be in that moment and to actually experience the moment and make choices in those moments based on what's unfolding for you right then and there, as opposed to what you've been told is the norms of how you should act or react in that kind of a situation.
Yes. yes. I like what you said. Like, that just gave me insight on something else that but not being afraid to break commitments. It's like sometimes we commit with, I just heard everything you just said. I don't want to go on a tangent, because I know
you can't, because we only have 5 minutes left.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I heard exactly what you said. Just not being afraid to break commitments with things that are not of the spirit, so that you can follow the spirit. And you'll be more wealthier for that. Making that decision.
Yes.
Oh God.
It just flows. You don't even have to think about the money or chase after it, because money is just an energy. Like, that's the really key important thing. It is just an energy exchange for something that you have provided to someone, or a service that someone has provided you. You give them money, right, for a service they provided you. You pay your electric bill, you pay, your gas or electric, whatever you need to pay in your house to keep it going. You pay those things because they're providing you a service. So that's the exchange that you've agreed upon. So here now, where we're at, what is the exchange? What is the thing that we're providing for that exchange? So you have to start looking at your own worth and your own value and seeing what you bring to the picture. Chase after that, and the money will follow. It will.
I love it. Thank you, and I love you. It's been so nice to hear your voice in person.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been wonderful interacting with you on Facebook, and we'll continue to do that. And thank you so much for taking the time to call in and play with me here on air.
Definitely. I'm glad I had the courage to do so, because when I heard you say you really don't get too many calls, I said, I should call, And the more I heard the message and realized that it was for me, and I said, okay, you need to call,
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Ingrid.
I look forward to interacting with you some more, okay? We'll get to know each other much more. All right, great.
All right. Have a great night.
So we have 3 minutes. You too. Have a great night. We have 3 minutes before the end of the broadcast, and here's what I want to say to you. If you want to continue to have a further conversation with me, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me at ingridgeronimo.com at any point in time, and we'll find a way to just talk. I just want to talk with you, because this is the other thing that we have. We have a fear of talking to people because we're afraid they're going to try to sell us into something. That's not me. I have struggled with that all along in my business, because I do not want to be that person. I want to be the person that people can call and contact me. And don't get me wrong, I want my business to grow and flourish. But I also want to really help you if you feel that something I have said makes sense to you, gives you a spark, makes you feel like, wow, maybe if I just have a conversation with her. So, in these last 3 minutes, I want to leave you with some further insights. And I want you to know that you can interact with me and provide me any kind of feedback regarding my shows on the Awakened Radio Forum for my specific show name. All you have to do is just go to the top there and look for the forums, and then you can find me and my show, and you can interact with me that way. You can let me know how you enjoyed the show. You can let me know what other topics you might want me to cover or might have questions about. Because I'm not here just because I want to talk and hear myself talk. I'm honestly here because last year I was guided that this was an outlet for me to be able to provide people the insights, inspiration, motivation, and just the divine guidance that I was receiving, that we're all receiving, but sometimes we're just not aware of it and awaken to it. And what I want you to remember is that all of these things I talked about come out of one specific thing. It comes out of the mindfulness and the awareness and the ability to be with yourself, to actually engage with, getting to know you and how you act and react in different situations, and making those choices right in that moment based on whatever you're feeling or not feeling and what makes you happy, not what tenses you out and makes you feel like you have to be a certain way in order for people to like you. Not that. The thing that you really want to get is what it is for you. So thank you so much for listening in tonight. This is Ingrid Geronimo from ingridgeronimo.com, and I truly hope that what I have shared with you here tonight will help you moving forward with regard to your money and your worth in 2013. Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.